right there.
Yes, sir.
You can take that mask off if you want to. I'll sit over here, and we'll try to stay 6 feet apart and
Sure.
and that kind of thing. So how's it going?
It's going all right.
Yeah.
Just finally, we moved down here. Came back to the States and all that stuff. Came over here and.
So are you back now for good?
No, I still work back and forth and all that stuff.
Okay.
Usually, due to the Corona stuff, we've had issues of me getting home in the Philippines.
Right.
Because that's where I do live and stuff.
Right.
Most of the time, I go there and do 2 years, and then I come back over here for like 9 days to do a health check.
Okay.
And then, but due to the Corona,
Gotcha.
this is my second trip back
Okay.
over here. And then we just bought a place
Okay.
and got a drove.
Well, cool. Well, first off, let me tell you, this is called a non-custodial interview, okay? You probably never heard of such a thing, but what that means is you came up here voluntarily, you're not being detained, you're free to go at any time, that door is not locked. I'm not advising you of your Miranda rights or none of that kind of stuff, okay? So this is a non-custodial interview, and I just want you to know that I really appreciate you coming up, and you know, I came all the way from Arkansas, and...
Yeah, no, you know, I'm going to tell you what I told the police down in Texas when they came and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you and truthful with you on everything. You know, maybe I saw something that maybe be a key factor in something there and all that stuff.
Right, right.
But, you know, I worked a 7-7 schedule, but I'll let you do your talking and then you can...
Okay, so I just want to make sure you're okay with...
I know my rights and all that stuff.
Okay, you're willing to talk to me.
I'm willing to talk to you and all that stuff.
Okay, all right. You know,
and I respect you in every way, because your job is a hard job.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Right. I was thinking if you ever make it back to Arkansas, maybe we could, you know, get you to take a polygraph, because a bunch of people have taken polygraphs in that thing. You know, what are your thoughts on that? I don't even know if you'd ever be back into Arkansas.
I don't know and all that stuff. Most of the time I'm going back and forth to work and all that stuff, and due to this Corona stuff, when I go back to work, I might be 2 to 3 months stuck overseas and stuff.
Right.
So, but no, I don't have no issue when I sat there and told them down in Texas, you know, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. I don't have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
You know, and I explained to them, but I'll let you do your spiel, and then we'll talk and all that stuff.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to be rude or anything, because...
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
And then what I remember is when the guys came to Texas and stuff, I do not know what they wrote down.
Right. That's fine.
You know, the guy had a pad. He just was writing, and then he talked to me, and he talked to Mom.
Right.
And he talked a little bit about Jeremy and all that stuff. But
Right.
I never...
Give me 1 second. Forgot my pen. Well, you know, the information that was provided, that you guys provided in '04 was, you know, condensed to just a few paragraphs. You know, the investigator that came out and talked to you guys really didn't provide a lot of information. And, you know, going back and looking at this thing, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about who you are as an individual, who Jeremy is, who your mom is, all these things. So that's kind of, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Was just kind of who you were back during this period of time and all that.
I can start up to where Mom moved up there. Okay, and stuff. So whenever you want to start, I can explain to you or tell you, you know, and stuff.
Okay, well, let's start with whenever Mom called you were in Texas and said, hey, we're moving back. We want to move back to Arkansas. Need you to come up here and help us. That's what I understand.
Okay, now I'm going to go even farther back. You know,
okay.
So I'm going to say when Mom went up there, all right, I remember Mom says, hey, you know, I'm working a 7-to-7 schedule, an oil field and all that stuff.
Right.
Meaning that my schedule timeline is very short.
Right.
Okay.
So you're an oil field worker.
I've been working in the oil field for 23 years.
Right. Who were you working for then?
I was working for island operators. I could get you old phone numbers and all that stuff, you know.
Okay.
If you need that and all that stuff. I was working for island operator, working a 7/7 schedule. I remember moving Mom up there, and then she was moved into that little house. It was a couple miles down the road from Grandpa's property and stuff, and Grandpa was leasing that land from that farmer or whoever had that property. The names, it's been so long.
The old Wolf Farm is what it was called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and you're right. That was about, your mom's house was about 2 or 3 miles from the McCullough trailer where this happened.
Okay. So moved Mom there. Then after that, I went back home to Texas and all that stuff. There was a couple times that I came up to visit during the time that Mom was there for, I think, 4 or 5 months and stuff. So there was a couple times where I went up.
Now, how would you fly or would you drive?
Drive.
Okay, so
I had a black Chevy truck.
Okay.
And so I would drive up and stuff. And I think one time, my ex-wife Amanda and all that stuff, or Heidi and all that stuff came up, and we visited and stuff. And then there was a couple other times where I went up. I can't give you dates. I don't know for sure.
That's fine. I understand.
Went up and then went and visited Uncle Bobby and stuff. It was me, Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, Jeremy, and all that stuff. Went over and was sitting in the trailer and all that stuff. Then we went up to the back property where Grandpa was showing.
Now, Uncle Bobby is Claude, right?
Yeah. There's
Casey's dad.
There's Grandpa was named Claude.
Right.
And then I called, Casey's dad, Uncle Bobby and all that stuff.
Right.
And so, but when I would go up there, I wouldn't hardly see any of the boys at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're off doing their own thing and stuff.
Right.
And I would more like hang out with Grandpa. If Uncle Bobby was off the road or whatever,
Right.
then I would see him. Alrighty, so, so I've been in that home and all that stuff. And
prior to the homicide,
yes.
how many times had you been in that trailer, you think?
Maybe 2, 3 times.
Maybe 2 or 3 times?
2 or 3 times and stuff.
So Rebekah was killed in September of '04. When was the last time you were in that trailer, you think?
It was way before that.
Months?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I...
well, hang on. Let's kind of explore that since you brought it up. Do you remember, why were you in the trailer and what did you do? Did you stay the night? Did you sleep?
No,
Did you?
I was there with Grandpa, used the restroom,
Okay.
and all that stuff, and, because I was helping Grandpa do some stuff.
Right.
So more of messing with the cows and all that stuff, because Grandpa would always say, you're the #1 grandson, and I was like, why would you say that? Because you never asked for anything, boy.
Right.
I asked the McCulloughs, how much you going to pay me?
Right.
He would argue with me. It's like, you buy me a hamburger, that's a good deal, and he's like, all right.
Right.
So there was a couple of times that I've been in there, and then there was, I'm just saying that we visited, went out on the back of the property, and then a couple of times where, I'm just saying a couple of times, I'm saying 2, 3 times, I'm not.
Prior to '04, just a few times.
Yeah, a few times I've been in that trailer, but when I went up, okay, so Mom's telling me that she wants to move back down to Texas. So I told them, okay, you need to have everything packed because we're on a 7/7 schedule where I need to haul butt up there, pack up everything, and then get, back down to Texas to go to work.
Right.
So Mom's like, okay. So I drove up. I get there Sunday between maybe 3, 4, or 5-ish. I'm not totally for sure.
Late in the day.
Later in the day, because it wasn't long before it got dark.
Right.
Jeremy was home. I called. Jeremy called, or we called Mom, and I think Mom was over at Grandpa's and stuff, and said we'll be there shortly.
Now, hang on, back up. Whenever you first got to Melbourne, where did you go? Did you go out to the farm, out to your mom's house?
Yeah, to Mom's house, and
Okay.
all that stuff. And that was on a Sunday.
Right.
Jeremy was there.
Okay.
Alrighty, and sit there, and yeah, Sunday get there, 3-ish, 4. I'm trying to remember and all that stuff. Approximately between 3 or 5 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before it got dark and all that stuff. So got there, called Mom. I think Mom was over at Grandpa's house and stuff,
Right.
and then said, "I'll be there shortly. Come." She sits there, cooks dinner and all that stuff. Monday morning.
Well, hang on now. So, in the information that was provided to Texas in 04, you said that whenever you showed up in Melbourne, that you went and visited family in the small town. So that made it sound like that you were with your mom and that you visited family in the small town. So do you remember going to the grandparents' house on Sunday? Because that's what you told investigators in 04.
I can't remember and all that stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that probably if you said it in 04, that would probably be more accurate than...
It would probably be more accurate because we sat there and went and then because I know that when I came up and we, got at the wolf farm and all that stuff, I remember going and asking Casey if he could give me a hand.
Helping you move.
Helping
Mom move.
Help Mom move the stuff into the house. And he was like, "Hey, I'm too busy."
Is that whenever you showed up to Casey's trailer on Sunday?
No.
Okay. Well, when did you have that conversation with him?
When Mom moved up there 3 or 4 months before.
Okay.
So I sat there and asked him, "Do you think you can help me and all that stuff?" And he's like, "No, I'm busy and all that stuff." So I was like, "Okay." And Mom was with me. All right. During that time, now the neighbors, because this is kind of odd, because I did tell the police that, the neighbors were constantly weirdos and all that stuff. Constantly, they got the door cracked, back door cracked. They got the blinds, open, kind of like staring at you and watching everything that's being done.
Right.
Now,
are these the ones that are across the highway or just kind of over to the side?
There was Uncle Bobby's trailer, and then there was neighbors right here.
Right.
So, but let me get on with the story,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to tell you hearsay that what I've heard through the family and all that stuff.
Okay.
All right, so I get up there, I sat there, and Sunday, and then I'm not totally for sure if we went and saw Grandpa or whatever, or running around. I just know that I got up there Sunday, Monday, got up, took Jeremy to school. Then after that...
You took Jeremy to school Monday morning?
Yeah, me, Mom, and Jeremy went to the school, dropped him off and stuff, and then we went to Ash Flat. All right, and then from Ash Flat, we found out that we couldn't get the trucks and stuff. So then we went back to the wolf farm, and Grandpa and Troy was there. So then we were packing up more stuff, more stuff to get it all ready. Then Mom says, "I don't think I'll be back up this way. I want to go to Branson." And I was like, "Really, Mom?" She's like, "No, I really want to go," and kind of like, okay. So Grandpa, Troy, me, Mom, and, I'm helping Mom pack up everything in the front room. Then we leave, go get Jeremy. Then from there we go to Branson. We take my black truck. Mom's a navigator, not a good navigator.
So you're driving, Mom's navigating.
Yeah, Mom's navigating, and Jeremy's in the back. Okay.
And you all picked him up. You took him to school, and then you picked him up from school.
Yeah, but Mom told him that we're going to be leaving back to Texas because Jeremy wasn't liking it there and all that stuff. Too small of a town and all that stuff.
Right.
So I think Mom told the principal that this is going to be his last day, and then we went up to Branson and all that stuff. went around, checked out some stuff, realized that we were going to have to book shows and all that stuff, but we kind of got the feel of it and all that stuff. We ate there, and then I believe that we drove back, and it was kind of late. Then the next morning, Tuesday, me, Mom, Jeremy, sit there and we go to Ashflat, pick up the trucks, and understand that we got a truck with trailers and all that stuff to put the vehicles on and all that stuff.
Right.
So then we get the trucks. Literally, you got to understand, I'm on a time schedule.
Right.
So I sit there and it's like go, go, go. So I load up the first truck, and by the late night, I probably had the second one halfway done. And I already had my truck up on one of the trailers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but on Tuesday, we saw a whole bunch of vehicles when we were coming back from Ashflat. And then that's when Mom calls Grandpa and says, Casey must be having a party or something over there and stuff, because Grandpa would sit there and say Casey would have parties out there, grew marijuana that he thought on the property and all that stuff, because the cops even came out there one time, and Grandpa was like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
And then, so Mom calls Grandpa and all that stuff, and says, hey, you need to go check over there and all that stuff. And then, so, Grandpa shows up and says that a young lady's missing and stuff. Right. So then, Wednesday.
So you guys found out Rebekah was missing before you guys got on the road Wednesday to head back.
Yeah, a young lady was missing, Tuesday by Grandpa and all that stuff.
Yeah. And
then so it was like, okay, wow, what the hell's going on and stuff. Now, we, Tuesday had everything almost all packed up, and then in the morning got up early, finished packing up the rest. And then Grandpa and because Grandpa and Troy were doing the hay, so they would come every other day and stuff. And like on Monday, they were there, doing the hay, flipping it over and all that stuff.
Right.
2 days, then come over and flip it again.
Right.
And then, so before Grandpa left out, or Grandpa Wednesday, before we left out, Grandpa sat there and was sitting on the porch where I had everything packed out and all that stuff. And I think Grandma was there too, saying our goodbyes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and then we took off and came back, and then got down there Thursday, and I think the cops came Friday. And then they questioned us, what kind of person Casey is, asked, well, what were you doing up there? And I was like, I'm work offshore, working at 7-7. Mom asked me to go and move.
I thought that you guys found out about Rebekah after you already got back to Texas, but it's kind of odd that you were at the trailer on Sunday night talking to Casey out in the driveway, and you guys are still up there when law enforcement starts looking for her, and nobody talked to you guys in Arkansas. That's kind of unusual how that worked out, But, So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
So yeah, then we came back to Texas and stuff, and then the cops came, asked us a whole bunch of questions and stuff, and then...
Did you meet them at the police department down there, or did they just talk to you guys at your home? Or?
Yeah, they came to our home and stuff, and, talked to us, kind of pulled us to the side and, and questioned us.
Yeah.
We were on my mom's front porch, and then kind of like, we were standing off to the side and talked and all that stuff, and then did the same thing with my brother and me.
Yeah.
And one did I can't remember the officer's name, but one did all the talking, while the other one was just sitting there just, writing everything down.
Yeah. Okay. And whenever you came up from Texas, you were by yourself? You didn't bring, your wife didn't come?
No,
Or?
no.
Okay.
No. I came up because it was, I think she had some other stuff going on,
Right.
and I don't remember if she was going to school during that time and all that stuff. She was going to college. She got her master's degree in occupation and safety and all that stuff.
Right.
So I don't know if she was going to school and that.
How long had you been married to Amanda during this period of time?
We've been getting together since high school, off and on and stuff.
Okay.
We got a 22-year-old daughter.
Right. Right. So you guys were in a relationship in high school, and in 04, you were 28, something like that. So you guys had been together for many years.
We've been together for a long time and stuff. And then when I bought my house, then it was kind of like I would go stay at her house or I'd stay at Mom's house and all that stuff. But then when I bought my house, then we moved in together.
And you guys got divorced in?
I don't know, 9 years ago.
So around 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Estimate, yeah.
Okay. And you're married now?
Yeah.
You've remarried. How long have you been married now?
5 years, I think, 6 years, yeah.
That's cool.
So
you got any kids?
I got 2 kids. I got
in the Philippines?
Yeah, in the Philippines and stuff. So I'd always joke that I'm going to marry, somebody from a third world country, give them a bicycle and flip-flops, and they appreciate me and all that stuff.
Right.
So,
you guys have plans on coming back, or are you going to set up shop?
We have about 30-acre farm
Yeah.
that we have in the Philippines that the family kind of runs and all that stuff.
Right.
And mostly all the family, we got pigs, goats, banana plantation, coconut, cacao and stuff.
So you think you're there for the long haul, or are you ever going to come back?
I want to bring them back over here and stuff. The school education over there is crappy.
Right.
I got them going to a private school and stuff.
Right.
My son speaks English. My daughter speaks Bisaya and a little bit of English and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the plan is for, I was trying to, I think it was in April, before the pandemic stuff happened. I was going to get them to do all the paperwork and all that stuff and bring them, to the U.S.
Have they ever been to the U.S.?
No.
Never.
Well, we were having issues because my wife in the Philippines was never, she was a late register, meaning that the ancestry, we call it ancestry land, where you're up in the mountains and all that stuff, and you're born and you're not in the system.
Right.
So, we had to go, it took almost a year to find out her correct information so we could get her the correct documents and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then over there, it's like you don't get on the computer and stuff. You go into a room and you give them a name and a date and all that stuff, and they bring out books and start looking through and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have any recollection of visiting the grandparents when you arrived Sunday evening? Because again, that's the information you provided to Texas investigators.
It's been so long. I don't know if we sat there and then Mom came and then we might have went over there.
Okay.
I'm to go visit with Grandpa and all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
So, I'm not 100% sure.
Right. Probably it would be a good idea just to stay with what was provided in 04. That's probably more accurate than what you're able to remember now. Yeah. Because, Claude had to borrow Casey's truck on Sunday, and Claude was at the grandparents' house whenever Casey took him his truck. So I didn't know if you remembered being there. And again, if I say something, it may trigger a memory where, oh, that's right, and if it...
Or you might understand that, you know, that if the detectives is getting Mom and mine thing, because I know that Mom went to Grandpa's and all that stuff and was visiting, I think, Uncle Bobby and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When I came in, you know, I'm not...
That's what you remember?
I remember that Mom was in town at Grandpa and I think Uncle Bobby was over there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not...
Yeah, he was.
I'm not totally for sure. Once you talk to Mom and all that stuff,
yeah.
you know, this might...
Right.
You know...
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know...
Yeah. So, what do you remember about going over to Casey's Sunday night? And I'll refresh your memory just a little bit. You told Texas investigators that you saw him in town, and you turned around and you followed him to the trailer, and you guys spoke in the driveway for approximately 15 minutes, and you kind of got the idea that he wanted you to leave because him and Rebekah were there. Do you remember any of that?
I was thinking that was when I first came up there to move Mom and all that stuff. Because when I went and moved Mom up there, I remember going to Casey's house and stuff, and then me and him talking in the driveway, and the neighbors were sitting there watching us.
Yeah.
And he was sitting on a car. So I don't know...
Well...
It was a black, not black, I think it was a green car that he was sitting on and all that stuff, and I think that was Uncle Bob.
Well, let me see if this don't jar your memory. It may not, but... So, in Casey's interview, he said that Rebekah looked out the window and saw a car in the driveway on the road. And then Casey looked out and saw that it was you, and then he went out there and you guys talked for about 15 minutes.
And it was Mom was with us and all that stuff.
No, not at this time. This was, he said that whenever you got out, you said that you weren't going to stop because you didn't see Casey's truck, but you saw Rebekah there. So, you know, that's, Casey had already given his truck to Claude in town, and you were just, you know, it was dark whenever this happened, whenever you stopped by and you and Casey were talking in the driveway.
Yeah.
But you don't have any recollection of that on Sunday evening?
I remember, you know, in the beginning when Mom moved up there and all that stuff, but I might have went and talked to him and stuff maybe Sunday. I'm not totally for sure.
Well, you were consistent in 04 about talking to Casey Sunday evening, and Casey was very consistent about the information that he provided, that Sunday evening that you stopped by briefly and you and Casey spoke out in the driveway. Is that
okay? You know, but I'm thinking Mom was with me because she was going everywhere with me when I was up there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I might have talked to him and all that stuff.
Well, I think, and obviously, I don't care in the slightest about, you know, smoking marijuana, but it's very clear through interviews and the information that was provided by Casey that obviously Casey and Rebekah was into smoking marijuana, and you and even Jeremy were smoking marijuana during this period of time. So it kind of I figured that maybe you were kind of swinging by to see maybe, you know, you had just showed up from Texas.
Thing is, I work 7 to 7 to work for a company that they take random piss tests.
Right.
I make really good money. I don't want to even jeopardize.
In 04?
Even in 04. I'm talking 23 years that I haven't even touched marijuana.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if you call I-Now operator or whatever, they'll sit there and say every piss test that they ever took me, I was clean.
Yeah.
I don't do drugs.
Right. Okay.
And all that stuff.
All right.
I even live up here in a little state, and I just shake my head and all that stuff.
Right. It's not worth your paycheck for sure.
No. And what I make now, it's like, no, I don't even want to jeopardize that.
Right. That makes sense.
So, you know, I do kind of remember that, you know, Casey had a guess And I was thinking it was when I first moved, Mom up there and all that stuff. It's been a long time, I'm trying to remember.
Right.
And that he was kind of telling me, hey, get out of here and all that stuff. And then I remember Casey sitting on the vehicle, me standing up against my truck, and watching the neighbors, like, stare us down. I'm like, what's up with this and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, can you get lost because, I'm going to get lucky and all that stuff.
Right.
And where we were at to there, I just saw, it looked like a girl up by the trailer and all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, hey, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And all that stuff, and then that was it.
Right. So, if I'm not mistaken, you went to school for a period of time in Melbourne, or
yes, sir.
Mountain
No,
Pleasant?
I went to Melbourne School.
Okay. Went to Melbourne School. From what grades?
It was just for probably 6 months.
That was in high school?
It was in high school. It was, there was an incident that happened down in South Texas, I think my sophomore year, and,
An incident. What do you mean?
I had coaches sit there because I got hurt my freshman year in football and stuff, and then they were getting into my face saying that I was a pussy, and,
Right.
just ragging me really hard. But I got hit so hard that, the doctor was like, you take a hit like that, you might be in a wheelchair.
Right.
So, Dad was like, suck it up. Mom's like, and his football career is over.
Right.
So I had these coaches that talked a whole bunch of crap to me and, belittled me and talked down to me and stuff. And so I finally got upset and I was failing the class.
Right.
But when things got opened up, they sat there and saw that I was passing in the class with A's. And I had paperwork showing D's, failing grades.
Yeah.
And so when they showed failing grades and he's showing me passing with A's,
Yeah.
he decided to quit.
Okay. So that was probably a pretty uncomfortable place to be. So when that happened, that's one of the reasons why you came to Arkansas?
I just sat there and told Mom and them, I want to quit school, get my GED and all that stuff.
Right.
So Mom talked to Grandpa.
Right.
Grandpa says, hey, come up here and go to school here. And so I did go to school there, but I didn't like it.
And that was your junior year?
Or no, I think my sophomore year.
Sophomore?
Sophomore, I think, yeah, my sophomore, junior year. I'm not, no.
Where did you end up graduating high school?
Yeah, I graduated high school and went on to college.
From what school?
Rockport.
You graduated?
I went back to that school and I made them uncomfortable.
Okay, gotcha. And you, graduated in 96, 97?
I think it was 96. It was my freshman year, I think. My sophomore year, I had the issue. My junior year, I went to Portland High School. I went up to, I think, the ending of my probably sophomore year, and then my junior year, I went to Portland, a town that was a little bit over and all that stuff.
Right.
And my senior year, I went back to Rockport.
Okay. So you're in Melbourne, Arkansas as a sophomore going into your junior year?
Yeah, I think sophomore, junior, I'm not totally for sure.
And you're living with grandparents?
Grandpa and grandma, all that stuff.
All right. How are you getting to and from?
A bicycle?
You're on a bicycle.
That's my transportation.
How far was the school from grandparents' house? Or were you riding your bike to school?
Yeah, riding my bike to school.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then So I'd ride my bike and all that stuff, and go, and they lived in Melbourne and stuff.
Right.
So I'd go back and forth on a bicycle and all that stuff, and then that was my transportation.
Man, that's how I went to school, rode a bike to school, about 4 miles, yeah.
I don't think it's 4 miles, but, it was, I think it was more fun going back because it was all hilly.
Yeah.
Instead of going up and all that stuff, so.
Right. Did you have any problems at the school while you were there that you remember?
In Melbourne?
Yeah.
No, I was an outsider. And, there was a class of like 10 people.
Right.
And I'm like, too small and all that stuff. And plus, I have a learning disability. And so,
well, you like dyslexic or?
Dyslexic and stuff, and
Yeah.
then when I'm reading stuff, and just, I might not understand it. I might read it 50 times, and then finally it clicks and
Man,
stuff.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
So, yeah, I went up there, and then it was just like, this ain't my cup of tea. I love you, Grandma, Grandpa. Thank you for the opportunity. And stuff, and that. So.
Did you have much interaction with the McCulloughs during that period of time? Do you remember spending time with
when I would
Chris and Corey and
No.
Casey? No.
Mostly the one I would talk to would be Randy.
Randy, the older brother. He's the half brother.
He's the half brother. Me and him are a lot closer, you could say, than the other ones and stuff.
Yeah.
But if I saw him, I'd, hey, how's it going and all that stuff. But so I remember one time that I rode my bike all the way out to the farm, Grandpa's farm.
Where the trailer is. Is that where you're talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took the long route, the highway and all that stuff, and then went, and they were like, oh my God, and I was like, I'm dead,
Yeah.
This is, my legs are hurting, Grandpa got to come get me and all that stuff, and so, but I kind of remember that action where I think all the boys were there and all that stuff, but that was a long time ago.
So you don't remember any disciplinary action at school whenever you were going to Melbourne school? Never suspended?
Nope.
Nobody, you never had to stay after school for anything?
Nope.
Or none of that kind of stuff?
Never in trouble and all that stuff. Just had the incidents with those coaches down in South Texas. It opened up later down the road that one of the coaches messed with about 6 girls.
Yeah.
And literally a lot of other stuff got opened up.
Yeah.
To where there was massive investigations.
Right.
And so.
So you graduated from Rockport in '96, and you said you had some college. You went immediately into university?
I went to Del Mar College, and then
what town's that in?
Corpus Christi. And then sat there, and it's diesel technology is what I think I'm a couple credits shy of, like associate's degree.
Yeah.
Because I got Amanda pregnant, and so how I was raised is, hey, if you're gonna play family, you need to take care of your family.
Right.
So I got pushed aside, and I was like, I need to get a job working, and so I got a job. My dad, the company that he was working for, he says, I know somebody that can piss clean and show up to work, and we're like, who? And he's like, my son.
Right.
So I got my foot in the door, and then been doing it ever since, I think 23 years, so.
Yeah. So you never had a job in Arkansas?
No.
Never did?
No. And my transportation was a bike, so,
Yeah. That's all you need, man, when you're a kid is bike.
So.
And what year did you and Amanda get married? You remember?
9 years ago.
No. When did you get married?
Got divorced, okay. We were married for 7 years.
What year did you get married? Do you remember? You were married to her in 04, right?
I think before in 04.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't remember what year you guys got married?
No, but I was together with her. I'd have to do math and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
You know.
So, in 04, when this happened, you and Amanda were living in Aransas Pass?
Yep.
Okay. Had you guys lived anywhere together before that?
No, she was kind of like staying at her mom's. And
Which was where?
In Rockport.
In Rockport?
Yeah. Oh, we're originally from Rockport and stuff.
Right. Okay. And any other places where you guys lived?
Rockport and Aransas Pass and stuff. And then when we got divorced and all that stuff, she moved to Houston.
Yeah, she's in Houston.
Yeah, she's in Houston.
And she's remarried?
She's remarried. I think he's ex-military.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When did she remarry, do you know?
I couldn't tell you.
You know, what's his name?
His name is Jason.
Jason.
I'd have to look on my phone to see the last name.
Right. Well, when did you head out for the Philippines? When did you leave country the first time?
Just traveling, or just to work?
Well, when you left and you decided you wasn't coming back for a while. Work related, I guess. I'm not talking about
6 years.
vacation.
6 years and all that stuff.
Okay, so 2014. How'd you swing a job in the Philippines? I'm curious.
Not in the Philippines, I work in Africa.
Oh, in Africa.
It was in 2000.
Why did I think the Philippines?
Because I told you I lived in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, working in the oil field, working down in South Texas in a plant and stuff.
Right.
I had some issues with a supervisor where I think I was his security blanket, where he didn't want me to leave. And it's like, hey, you know, I've told my time, you know, I'm ready to go home. I get home, hey, we need you to come back. We have issues with the facility.
Right.
And so, the job was I was supposed to sit there and do startup and commissioning one facility, move to the next one. Do startup and that and training, you know, people to run the facility and keep doing the same thing. But
yeah.
They stuck me in an area where there was tons of rattlesnakes out in the middle of a ranch that literally it took you an hour to get off the ranch and then an hour down a dirt road and then another hour to the biggest city.
Right.
So, that supervisor kept, you know, like, you need to stay here. You know,
right.
your run time's like really good and all that stuff. And then we had some incidents where the facility shut down. I'm working nights, and so they're like, hey, you need to come over here and bring on or we need you. I walk in, everybody's sitting in the office and,
yeah.
you know, no lights, they don't have electricity. And I'm like, why don't you ever start? Oh, I don't know. Walk over there. We got power, and it's like, everybody get out of the office and start bringing on wells and that. So I just had kind of like a run-in with the guy that he just, like, I felt was over-abusing me in a way.
Right.
It's like, you know,
right.
I need some time off. And that's the biggest thing is mine is I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
I'm not an alcoholic, you know, I don't do drugs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just work. You just say, hey, you know, you want to make some extra money, you know, working?
Yeah.
I jump on it.
Right.
And then when I want to buy something, it's like, how many workovers is that? You know,
yeah.
And that's my mentality and how I look at things.
Right, right. Right.
So, but you were asking how we kind of got off the subject and all that stuff. So, one night I applied I was on in the internet and just applied, and then sent out my resume to like 250 companies, and then one night just sent it to there, and then 2 days later got a recruiter that says, hey, would you be interested? I said, sure, you know, and then did 2 interviews with 2 OIMs, big bosses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of them, I asked them, you know, one of the last interviews, if, you know, be honest and straightforward with me, or if you're interested. And he's like, yeah, you'll be hearing from us. And 2 days later, they got a phone call that says you need to go to do a health check. And literally, I got like 24 shots in my arm.
Right. Yeah, man.
And then they were like, okay, September the 16th, they said, you know, okay, you're going to be flying out. And so I went over there, and I think it was...
Where'd you fly into?
On what country?
Yeah.
Equatorial Guinea.
New Guinea.
Yeah, Equatorial Guinea. So and it's a dictator there. You don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics, you don't, you know, it's just put your head down and just go.
Right.
So, so went over there and then been there for 7 years, and then I was going over to the Philippines, but prior to that I went to the Philippines a couple times.
Just to visit? You're just curious about the Philippines?
I kind of ran into like a girl before I had met my, you know, Amanda and stuff, and I call her the what if I would have just went and saw her, or, you know, went and, you know, and so I kind of ran into her after I got divorced. And
now, you got to tell me about that, man. How's the what if girl?
Okay, I was really young, and I think I was in high school, because when I got with Amanda, I think I was like a senior. And so, and she was younger and all that stuff. So during, I think the junior year, we went up and I met this girl, and then in New Braunfels on a trip with my parents, a camping trip and all that stuff. And so me and her kind of kept in contact for about a year, and then we lost contact. And so she was all, I had like pictures and all that stuff of her and stuff, and so I was like, what if I would have just done that? And so I used to live a life of what if, just kind of lived in my own little square box and all that stuff, and, you know, be afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
So I ran into her again, and went and saw her and stuff, and then realized, you know, because when we talked, she's like, you really didn't do much, you know. And so I was like, you know, okay, no more what ifs. And, you know, I've always talked about going to, like, the Philippines or Thailand and stuff. And so I was like, okay, no more what ifs. I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
So literally I jump on a plane and go to the Philippines, and I get off the plane, and it's like, I don't speak the language. What the hell did I get myself into? So, yeah. And then went and did, like, 5 islands.
Yeah.
And there's over like 7,000 something islands over there.
Right. So you kind of just did like a vacation trip, your first time to the Philippines, just kind of feel it out, see what it was like.
Stuff. And then I was online, and then met my wife now and all that stuff.
Online?
Online.
What was the dating app? What
was Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah. It was in a group and all that stuff, and met her and all that stuff, and then went over there.
She knows English good.
Her English is good, better than out of the countryside and all that stuff.
Right.
And then so went over there and saw her a couple times, and then one of the times she's like, hey, you know, you're going to be a daddy, and I was like, okay.
Now, does she have to work, because you make good money, I assume, working on you're an offshore oil.
Over there, I'm a multi-millionaire.
Right. Right, so she probably doesn't have to work.
She runs the farm.
Yeah, runs the farm.
The money that comes in, all that stuff, she's the banker. She gets it, collects it, and then because we have a banana plantation, cause we you know, got 30 acres there, all farmers and stuff, and so it just, we get a bigger percent and then, you know, the people that work and all that stuff get a percent too.
Yeah.
And so, so we, that's kind of how it goes like that. And
right.
And so,
living high on the hog, man, out in the Philippines.
$1,500, you live like a king.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and me, I think, like, when I go to work for a month, that's, you know, like, close to $25 grand.
Right.
And with me living outside the country and all that stuff, I don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, you're not taxed.
I'm 98K tax-free. Now, if I stay out of the country and all that stuff, up to 330 days and all that stuff, I don't have to pay nothing but Social Security. Right. And stuff. So that.
Are you getting hit for child support?
I do pay child support and stuff, and in the U.S. and then whatever Amanda needs or anything. Right. Then she'll ask.
Now, is that court ordered, or are you just doing that because that's...
There's court order, and then there's extra that I, you know, or Emily wants to do, because Heidi's the oldest. Emily...
How old's Heidi?
22.
22.
22. And then Emily is 14.
14. So
she's doing gymnastics, cheerleader, and all that stuff. And so... if they want to do that kind of stuff, then,
right.
You know.
What's Emily doing? She's 22. Does she have a career?
No. Heidi.
Heidi's
the 22. She's kind of, helps raise her siblings, in my opinion.
Yeah. Is she still at the house?
She's still at the house.
So she doesn't have a career, she's not...
No, she's dyslexic, she has some, you know, issues and stuff, and learning disabilities, and so,
You think it's an actual disability?
Or not a disability, just, I think the ex-wife kind of pushes it, you know, just like, you know, hey, you take care of your sisters, and, because my wife is, you know, more, you know, doing her work and all that stuff, so the oldest is cleaning, cooking, taking care of the younger siblings, taking cheerleader practice, doing all that stuff, where mom's doing a career, and then Jason
don't care, I guess.
I don't know, the things I see on Facebook is that, you know, he goes through work, like, changing constantly, so I don't try to get in her business, you know, and she don't get into my business and stuff, and it just, we talk about the kids, you know, hey, how they doing, or hey, your child support check is a little off, okay, you know, or let me look into it and see if I need to, you know, send money in, so.
Right. Okay. So, I'm curious, can you name all of the places that you've lived in the United States?
Lived? All right, yeah, I've lived in Texas, I lived in Arkansas.
I'm talking towns.
Towns?
Yeah. We got Aransas Pass, we got Rockport, we got Melbourne.
Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska.
How long were you in Alaska?
6 months.
6 months.
I tried to get a job up on the North Slope, and that's when my dad died.
Okay.
And so...
What year was Alaska?
He died in 2000, so it was sometime in the 2000 that I went up there for 6 months.
Okay.
And I tried to get a job up on the North Slope.
Okay.
And then the Philippines.
And then the Philippines.
Yep.
Okay.
So 5 places.
And if you ever come back to the States, you think Oregon's going to be home?
I just bought a 41-acre farm here and all that stuff. We're in partnerships, me, my brother, and his soon-to-be.
Think they're going to get married?
Yeah, they're still in love.
Yeah. And that's where Mom loves it?
I'm pushing for Mom to retire. I told Mom, you know, let me take care of you. You know, in Mom's... she's, you know, in my opinion, she's losing her mind and all that stuff.
Really?
Because it's, you know, Grandpa was losing his mind, and I've been told, you know, that Uncle Bobby's kind of losing his mind. And then Mom, she's done some, like, stupid things where, like, we get on Highway 5, and then she gets off I-45, and we're driving, like, for 45 minutes. I'm looking at my phone, reading all this information to her, and I look up, and it's like, you know.
Yeah.
where are we at? I don't know. And it's like, okay, and then like, my mom's job is, you know, hey, send paperwork to the tax lady.
Right.
And then the tax lady sits there,
You don't get it.
she's like, your mom didn't send it to me. And I was like, so.
Yeah. Now, how old is your mom? She's in her 60s?
Yeah, she's in her 60s.
Yeah.
63-ish.
Yeah.
I think she's 18 years older than me, and I'm 44.
And your dad died 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
And she has never remarried?
No.
Wow. How long were they married?
That's, I think, 18, 19 years.
19 years?
Yeah. No, I mean when she was 18, 19 years
Oh,
old.
okay, I got you.
And stuff.
Yeah. So that was her sweetheart.
Yeah. So she just says that, you know, me and Jeremy are her, you know, husbands, you know, the man in her family. You
Right,
know.
right. So, you know, let's talk about,
The hearsay?
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've got some theories and some ideas of, you know, I mean, that's why I'm here is
Okay,
to re-interview everybody.
When we sat there until the cops got in Texas, you know, Mom told me that she felt creepy. You know, anytime that she took anything over to Uncle Bobby's house or whatever, that Uncle Bobby says, hey, can you get this when you go into, you know, where the local Walmart's at? I think maybe in Batesville or something. I'm not totally for sure. To get him things and all that stuff, and Mom would go drop it off, and then you know, Mom was like telling me that the neighbors would just kind of like, you know, be staring out the window constantly, you know, the door cracked, just being weird, just being odd. When I was talking to Mom about this, you know, Mom says that Grandpa said that he believed one of them was a peeper. And I'm like, Mom, what's a peeper? And she's like, it looks like, you know, peeping Tom, because he found blankets all over, you know, on the property.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so, so my thought would be, you know, those people, you know, because they watch that place like a hawk, in my opinion, after all the stuff that was told to, you know, us, or what I've heard from Grandpa and what I've heard from Mom. Grandpa sat there and said that they shot one of his cows, they killed one of his pigs. He believed that they killed Rebekah's dog and stuff. And then, you know, so yeah, then my question is, you know, did they question both brothers? Or did they just question one brother and all that stuff?
Yeah. And
his wife, you know.
Right.
And I believe they were the Tegans.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all interviewed, and you know, there's so many people in this investigation and in this case file, you know. But yeah, they were interviewed, and like I was talking before about polygraphs, you know, all of the McCulloughs have been polygraphed. A number of other people had been, you know. That's a tool that we like to use to, you know, it kind of gives us a pretty good indication of
that somebody's lying or telling the truth.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, would you be okay with taking a polygraph? I'll just ask you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
You don't have a problem?
Yeah, you want me to go to Arkansas and take one?
No, I tell you what. Let me holler. I'll call the sergeant up here to see. They may have a polygrapher in town. You know, it's a shot in the dark, but.
So what other questions you were going to ask me and all that
Well,
stuff?
let me see if they got somebody, because I still have a lot more questions for you, but hang on a minute here. Let's give it a shot. Hey, Sergeant McNeill. Hey, Do you happen to have a polygrapher in town? Do you know, do you have somebody available that could do a polygraph if we needed one? Oh, okay, thanks. He's going to look into it. So, have you had communication with any of, like Casey or with Corey or with Chris about the...
Not Chris. I talked to Randy.
You talked to Randy?
I talked to Randy, and I told Randy if they needed a lawyer and all that stuff, don't be shy, call me.
Okay, so you're offering monetary assistance if...
Yeah, I told, Randy, if y'all need a lawyer or whatever and stuff, that,
Well, that's pretty nice.
So...
Why do you feel compelled to do that? Just
why? Because they're family and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then...
and you make good money, so...
Yeah. So I told them if they needed any help or whatever, then, don't be afraid and all that stuff. And it was, me and Randy was talking.
Right.
And then...
they're catching a lot of shit, from people that, it's pretty crazy over there.
Yeah. So I told Randy if he needed any legal and all that stuff, and then he's like, he talked to Casey, and Casey sat there and says, no. And so it's like...
What do you mean you talked to Casey?
I said, Randy talked to Casey.
Oh, okay. And Casey's...
No.
Yeah.
And because, for slander and all that stuff, and
right.
Because on I think there's the podcast and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So have you had, can we talk about maybe some conversations that you've had with Randy about this? And have you talked to anybody else about the investigation?
No, just Randy.
Just Randy?
Yeah. And then I did talk to Casey a long time ago before I think during the podcast thing was going on, the Hell and Gone one.
Right. Okay.
So, and then I think that was about the lawyer thing.
Right.
So that's when that Hell and Gone podcast was when I sat there, because they were sitting there, and I threw that out there, needed, if you need money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Randy sat there and says, they don't want, or they don't,
Right.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I can't force somebody, to that.
Well, I think it's kind of these people that are saying all these bad things, they're toting that fine line between, something criminal and just, being ugly. You know what I mean? There's a difference between defamation of character and just saying, calling somebody a name or whatever. So there's a lot of people out there saying a lot of ugly things, but I don't think it's risen to criminal, which, Casey would have some avenues there, some options to take, to try to get these people to shut up.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of...
Yeah.
So... Hello? Awesome. Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Okay, bye. Cool. Half an hour, man. Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good tool that we like to use, so I appreciate you.
But it doesn't hold up in court, correct?
Right. That's it can be admissible if, from what I understand, now I'm not a polygraph guy, and when the polygraph guy gets here, he'll explain it all to you, but I think it's my understanding that both the prosecution and the defense would have to agree to it. You know, if this ended up going to trial, or somebody went to trial and they had a polygraph and they didn't want it, you know, admissible in court, then it wouldn't be. I think both parties have to be in agreement. I think that's how that works. But like I said, I'm not the polygraph guy, and
So if I pass this, I'm just saying pass this, then this is over with me, correct? Or is this going to be kind of dragging on where you're going to be?
Well, man,
I'm just saying, I want to live my life, and then
Let me tell you, I live in Arkansas and I work in Arkansas, and I don't figure I'm ever coming to Oregon again work-related. You know what I'm saying? You know, this thing has been carrying on and 16 years now, and, you know, homicide is something that we can't ever close. So whenever it was given to me, it's my...
So in a way, I'm asking you, I'm a suspect.
No, I'm not saying you're a suspect. No, not at all. So looking at it from my perspective, Rebekah was killed Monday. Anybody that was at that property, at the crime scene, the day before or the day after, or, you know, anybody that was there during that period of time is a person of interest.
So even the neighbors,
Absolutely.
All the neighbors that are around.
Absolutely, and that's why they've all been interviewed, and, you know, people that have, there's been a number of polygraphs given as a result of this investigation.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say you're a suspect, but just for the simple fact you stopped by there Sunday night to shoot the shit with Casey for 15 minutes, you know, that you're somebody now that we have to exclude. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So. We've already talked about being in the trailer. What about after '04? Had you ever come back to Arkansas after '04?
No.
So once you...
Then after moving Mom back, no, I haven't came back and all that stuff, and then Grandpa went into the nursing home.
Yeah, right.
And then so, you know, when I would go up, it would be more to visit Grandpa.
Right.
And if Uncle Bobby was around and all that stuff.
Right.
You know, or if Randy was around and all that stuff, I would feel that I'm closer to Randy than, you know, the other
And then
guys.
he was in the military, and
Yeah.
he wasn't even really around Melbourne
Yeah.
back, you know.
You know, I can tell you that, you know, that the McCullough boys, maybe I can count on both of my hands how many times I've seen them throughout their life.
Really?
Yeah. You know, we know that we're related, but,
Right.
you know, hey, I'm going to come hang out at your house and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, me, it's more of work, and stuff, and then,
Yeah.
you know, I want to have nice things, and,
Right.
yeah. So, anything else you want to ask me?
Oh yeah, man, I got some more here.
Okay, keep coming at me,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I don't want you to feel like I'm coming at you.
No, I mean, come at with me with more questions and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
No, like I said, man, I appreciate you coming up here, and you know, it's. So, do you think that? I guess what I'm hearing, your theory on possibly who's responsible for this is maybe the neighbor.
you know, I believe that, you know, I'm thinking it was a neighbor.
Yeah.
Because they would sit there and you know, anytime, if you talk to Mom, she's going to tell you that every time that they came up there, you know, they watched that place like a hawk.
Right.
Who was coming and going.
Right.
You know, and like, there was times where Mom went up there where Grandpa got Jeremy to go weed whack.
Right.
And Mom sit in the vehicle, and they could sit there and give a description to it. Mom looked like and Jeremy in what vehicle.
Right.
And all that stuff. And then, so yeah, it's just kind of, to me that's really odd. and Grandpa had issues with them and all that stuff.
Right.
So, like, me and Randy talked, and I said that, about certain things that what Grandpa said, and Randy's like, I'm not, like, Grandpa's, getting old and senile,
Right.
I wouldn't believe it and all that stuff. And I was like, I'm hearing from Mom that Grandpa was saying about the blankets.
Yeah.
Why would somebody have blankets out on the property?
Right, exactly. Right.
So, that's, I always believed in my statement in the beginning was towards the neighbor.
Yeah.
And read in the newspaper that they heard screams.
Right.
The night before.
Yeah.
If you heard screams, I'd be calling the law. Would you?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
And saying there's something going on, you need to get out here.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. DNA these days, that's a big deal, right? DNA science, it's ever evolving and getting better and all that kind of stuff. There's a number of people that have provided DNA voluntarily. Would you be willing to provide your DNA? And it would be a cheek swab. I don't want to take blood or...
But the thing is if I've been in that house and all that stuff, my DNA would be in there.
Well, and that's an excellent point, and that is on record, and we know that. That's why I wanted to know, when were you in that trailer last, and what was that like? And you said that you used the bathroom, you never stayed over, you never slept over.
No, but I know that Mom gave furniture to Uncle Bobby when Aunt Vicky got divorced, because she took everything that was in the trailer.
Okay.
So I know Mom gave them furniture.
Okay.
Beds, a whole bunch of different stuff
Okay.
in the home.
Okay. So I didn't know that. So a lot of the furniture in that home came from your mom's house?
Yeah.
Which is furniture that you would have
Been on.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, and when Aunt Vicky divorced, she took everything, and there was nothing in there, and Mom filled them up with beds,
Right.
furniture, and all that stuff for that.
Right. Well, obviously I can't talk a lot about the evidence in the investigation. It's an ongoing
Investigation, I understand,
active
yeah.
investigation. But I can assure you that there are items of evidence that there should be no reason your DNA should be on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say whoever did this exited the trailer through a window, right? And they cut himself, and there's blood on that window. Well, whoever cut themselves, their DNA is going to be on that piece of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that didn't happen in this case, but that's just an example. We believe, investigators, the people that have worked this, we believe that we have the suspect's DNA on a piece of evidence that is very specific and very unique, and nobody else's DNA should be on it. So that's why I'm asking, is obviously we've never gotten your DNA, we've never gotten Jeremy's DNA. There's people that aren't in the case file that haven't provided DNA. So, it's my job to ask. If you don't feel comfortable with it, based on these other factors,
So what other factors and all that stuff? Because now it seems like, you're innuendo to me that you're saying that I had something to do.
No, not at all.
No, I'm just trying to better understand, because like I said, I'm kind of dyslexic and,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm trying to better understand you.
I just want you to be assured that because the furniture in the home came from your mom's house at some point in time, and that you sat on that couch, or that you slept on a bed,
yeah.
or you know, none of that is in play. None of that is in play at all. So, you know, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, I'm not gonna push you or try to put any pressure on you. It's just,
I do a lie detector test and all that stuff, but, you know.
yeah, that's fine.
It just, to me, it's just, you know, yeah, my DNA is gonna be in there and all that stuff.
Right, okay,
You know,
yeah,
you know, I came up here on, you know,
absolutely.
up here, because you're asking me to come up here, you come from Arkansas and all that
I
stuff.
know, man, long
I'm
way.
sitting here giving you information that you're asking and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not lying to you, being straight up with you and all that stuff, so,
yeah.
you know, I just,
Yeah, and see, I didn't know about the furniture deal and all that. All that furniture came from your mom's house?
my mom gave furniture to him and all that stuff, but I don't know, you're gonna have to ask her.
Yeah, she's probably gonna be able to be a little bit more specific about what furniture.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
so yeah, my DNA is gonna be all in that house.
Right.
I picked up that furniture and all that stuff.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
So, you know, and then my thought is that, you know,
No, that makes sense.
and so I got another question for you.
Okay.
Is I take blood pressure medicine,
Right.
all right, then I take anxiety medicine, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is that gonna affect
Well,
your
like-
I'm just asking
Yeah.
because,
No,
you know,
I
if
understand.
you don't want me to take that medicine and all that stuff, and do a test and all that stuff.
No, not all. And
Because, you know, I don't want it to affect
yeah.
your results and
No,
all that stuff.
absolutely.
I want you to know that I'm telling you 100%.
Yeah, no, and when the polygraph guy gets here, he'll explain all that, and I'm sure that you'll have a number of questions for him, and he'll be able to answer every one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not a polygraph guy. You've got to go to you know, all kinds of schools and get certified and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not that guy that can answer those questions. But if you have any questions at all when he gets here, ask him, okay? All right. Be right back. Let me see if he's here.
Can I use the restroom?
You bet. Yeah, come on, I'll walk with you. I'm gonna right where it's at. With you.